الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
قل أعوذ برب الناس.
My understanding, which I have from other Muslims, which is part and parcel of why I hold that, and have read in the Islamic sources, that the Quran itself does intercede for Muslims, or will, on the Day of Judgment. Right? The Quran will appear as a pale man and will say that he was the Muslim's companion in life and will intercede for him. Is that not correct?
Can you give me a reference for that?
That's in the Hadith.
So as you can see, Anthony Rogers is trying to show that according to the Hadith, he didn't understand the Hadith properly. He said that the Quran will appear on the Day of Resurrection as a man, right? So that means he's saying that the uncreated Quran, he's talking about the uncreated Quran, will come on the Day of Resurrection and be as a man, right? This is not talking about the uncreated parts of the Quran. This is talking about the recitation of the Quran of a person. Now, for example, when I take a pencil, right, and I'm writing down the Quran, I compile the Quran in a book. The book that I have in my hand, right, that I call the Quran, is created. The ink that I write the words of Allah, the Quran, in is created. The paper that I use is also created. Now, this would prove that this Quran that I have in my hand is created. The Quran that I speak, the sound, my sound is created. The Quran that I recite with my tongue is created, right? But the Quran that is recited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and spoken by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is uncreated. So this is the difference, right? You see the difference. And as you can see here, referring to the hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr, narrated, the Prophet Muhammad said, the Quran will appear in the form of a man on the Day of Resurrection and will intercede for its companions. Zuhair ibn Harb told me, Yaqub ibn Ibrahim told us, my father told me that from Ibn Ishaq, and Amr ibn Shu'aib ibn Mohammed ibn Abdullah ibn Amr told me from his father, from his grandfather, I heard this from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. Abu Abdullah, meaning Al-Bukhari, said this is his earning and deeds. So basically the earnings of and the deeds of a person will turn into a man. And this meaning of the Quran, mentioning the Quran will appear in the form, is not talking about the uncreated Quran that Allah spoke. It's talking about the person's recitation of the Quran, meaning the Quran that is created through a person's recitation, right? Which is his deeds. So it is proven that Ibn Ishaq heard the hadith from Amr ibn Shu'aib, thus the hadith is proven. Now notice how they write here. The words the Quran will appear on the Day of Resurrection mean that his recitation of the Quran will appear. So it's not talking about the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke. It is talking about the person's, the created person's speech of the Quran or recitation will appear as a man, as a Quran. So his recitation is the created part, but not Allah's recitation is the created part. So there's a difference. And as you can see here, and by the way, let me show everyone, this is Islam question and answer, right? So Islam Q&A says, as you can see here, they say there are two issues that we must distinguish between. The first is the word of Allah, may he glorified, and he spoke initially and Gabriel heard from him and the Prophet Muhammad conveyed them to us. This is an attribute of Allah that is not created in letters and words. The same applies to his voice, which Allah spoke initially through Gabriel heard it from him. So this is the first criterion, that the uncreated Quran is the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah spoke with his voice. These are uncreated, as you can see. This Quran is uncreated because Allah's voice. All of these come under the heading of the words of Allah. Nothing is of which is created, no matter how it's written, recited, or heard. The second is the actions of a person who is in the vessel which carries the words of Allah. So he recites them in a book, reads them, and hears them. All this comes from a person, and that he does is created. So this is the second place is when a person comes, takes a book, the book is created. He writes down the words of Allah. The writing part is created, right? He reads them. The voice of the person is created, right? So the sound that comes out of that person is created, right? So the hand of a person is created, the ink which he writes is created, meaning the ink which he uses to write the Quran is created, the paper on which he writes is created, the person's tongue is created, his voice that belongs to him is created. All of these are the vessels in which person carries the word of Allah and transmits it and conveys it, right? So as Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah said, when we recite the Quran, we recite it with our voices and the voices of persons created. So this is what it means, that the Quran that we recite with our voices, this part of the voice that is created will come on the day of resurrection as a type of Quran that, that intercedes. This is the meaning. It does not mean that the Quran which Allah recites as uncreated will turn into a man. And this is why Christians try to confuse this. They start to say, oh, because of the Quran will come on the day of resurrection, this means the uncreated Quran that Allah recites will turn into a person, which proves that Jesus is that person, right? Which is wrong. Because what is meant by here is the voices that the Quran is recited by a person, the voices are created. So that part of the voice will come on the day of resurrection as the Quran that the person has recited with his voice, right? So when we recite it with our voice, is created. That cannot resemble the voice of the Lord. Okay? So as you can see, the Quran that we recite is the word of Allah, conveyed from Him and not heard directly from Him. Rather, we recite it with our voices. The words are the words of the Creator, but the voice that we recite is the sound of the reciter, meaning the person, a human. So as you can see here, the Quran that we read is the word of Allah, but we recite it with our voices. So the words are the words of the Creator and the voice is the voice of the reciter, meaning the voice is created for the person that recites it. Now, as you have seen in this video that exposes Sam Shamoun, and this is the reason why these missionaries, because something happened to them, they're, as we say in Arabic, in kasrat shawkatahum, right? So they failed, they all broke, right? So why did they all gather together as three, like the Trinity, and they went to Sheikh Uthman Farooq? Because Sheikh Uthman Farooq is very knowledgeable, and since they're seeing that their religion and their foundation is being destroyed one after the other by the da'is, and they are realizing right now that this is causing failure in Christianity, and Christianity is decreasing, and they have to do something about it to save it. And they feel that this is like a fitna for them, right? This is like a trial for them. So what they are doing, for example, I'll give you an example. Farid responds, when he first made his channel, he exposed Apostate, he exposed Sipos, Christian princess, okay? And what he did is, when he exposed him, this was their god, the Christians' god. When Christian princess or Sipos got exposed, Christian Prince realized, and Sam Shamoun and David Wood and Anthony Rogers, that there's something wrong here. That Farid exposed them. That this is gonna cause Christians, his fans, to doubt him and to start saying, oh no, there's no way Christian Prince can be defeated. He defeated many Muslims before. How come he's getting defeated right now? How come our missionaries are getting defeated one after the other? So they realized we have to do something about it. Of course, Christian princess, Sheikh Uthman Farooq challenged him for a debate that is public. Sipos cannot go for that debate because he has to hide, right? So what he did, he sent his Trinity, his triune followers, and they went. You have one that is called Anthony Rogers that looks like a bulldog. Wallahi, if you look at him, looks like a bulldog. And he reminds me of a guy he used to live in my apartment, and not in my apartment, but I used to live like where in my apartment is, and he looks exactly like Anthony Rogers. He's funny, and he gets drunk. Not gonna mention it, but or like that midget from Underdog, from the movie Underdog, that midget that looks like Anthony Rogers, because he's a midget. And he also looks like a bulldog. Well, like, look at him, it's funny, he's like a bulldog. And he's grown like beard like this, like a bulldog, like that. And then he's like basically like, He's basically like woo 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 woo, right? Woof woof woof, right? Like that. And not only that, if you look at him, kind of, he's trying to look like he's like wise. He talks like, the Arabs had this and that, and then I can say Doctor Sheikh Uthman Farooq asked him, who is Al-Ash'ari? You didn't know. He said Al-Ash'ari, right? It's Abu Hassan Al-Ash'ari, ya haywan, right? And he's acting like all wise, and he's like all annoying, and the guy that is like, like with the beard and the mustache, like bulldog. He's like, these types of, these scientists you see on TV, or these historians, right? Like, like he's so like that. Like, what the hell is this, bro? And he asked him about the madhahib. The idiot did not know that there's a Maliki madhab. He kept guessing. I mean, this is stupidity. And first of all, you noticed that when Rob Christian got exposed, the Christian robber. And why am I saying these are the Christian robber and naming them? They're all liars and they're all patrons. It's because the Quran itself tells us that from the ahbar and from the ruhban, there are people who devour the wealth of people unjustly. They take the wealth of people unjustly. The priests and monks of these Christians and their scholars, they devour the wealth of the Christians, their people, unjustly. The Quran says that. And this is why you see them opening many Patreons. You see many of the Christian pastors getting exposed on the news for devouring people's money unjustly. Like this. The Quran tells us about that. We don't have to go into research more of that. It's already clear to us. The Quran tells us that in Surah At-Tawbah, right? So basically, this is why they are doing this. Their faith is fallen, so they want to go to try to do a fitna. This is what they do. I know their psychology. They want to ask questions. Whenever they see a question that has mutashabihat in it, or that Sheikh Uthman Farooq answers it sometimes without giving it from the sources, without having the sources with him handy, but answers their question, they will immediately go and twist it. And they will show a portion of it, but then they will get exposed. When a Muslim goes and looks at the source, he will expose them through that. So this is what you have to be aware of now. They have been exposed. They're gone. Farid responds, expose their god, Sipos, Christian princess. Expose their Rob Christian. Expose their Apos. Expose their David Wood. Who else did they expose? Expose their don't convert to Islam guy. And I also exposed the don't convert to Islam guy in my video, showing that he does not know Arabic. When he says Fikum Rasulullah means Rasulullah is in you, and he took it from Sufi sources. While the idiot does not know that Fikum in the Arabic language. I showed him a hadith from Sahih Muslim that says that is there among you Fikum, those who are from among you, right? هل فيكم من صحب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. It says, is among you those who were companions of the companions of Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم, right? It does not say, is there in you those who were companions of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم. This doesn't make sense. This is stupid. So yeah.